What's happening, everybody? I thought I would share with you something that I've been thinking about a lot lately and talking about quite a bit. You know, that weird synchronicity where you have this same conversation in a number of different places with different people. And the conversation has been about you start when you decide and you quit when you decide. And it's come up with people that I'm coaching online through a transformation, as well as people that I'm coaching in person, whether it's jiu-jitsu or shooting or a transformation. And I keep ending up in this conversation about you start when you make the decision to start, man. And you don't quit. You don't stop until you decide to stop. And I was thinking about, I'm like, man, how did this get stuck in my head, right? You ever have that thought of like, where did this come from? And started thinking about it. I'm like, man, I figured it out. So in 2014, on the 9th of November, a few days before my birthday, I had a brain aneurysm. Almost killed me. Kills 90% of the people that have that type of aneurysm. And thank God, for whatever reason, it didn't kill me. The doctors, medical staff, they all attributed it to the fact that I came in really good shape, mentally, physically tough, and that carried me through the actual incident itself, which there was like a 2-week build-up, and then that final, thunderclap, and the world just started changing really fast. But it also carried me through all of the physical therapy I had to do over the next few months to get back, because they do an assessment and they decide you can no longer do the job, and so we're sending you out to pasture. And I'm like, man, I'm in my 40s. I'm too young to have that happen. And there was a number of things just at play in my head, and I was determined to get back on the job. I was determined to return to full capacity and everything. Man, was that a journey. It was tough. And I promise you, there were days, multiple days, where I just wanted to tap out. There were days where I couldn't figure out how to open a jar. There were days where I couldn't chew food. I couldn't eat because my jaw had been busted and fractured in multiple places, and my teeth had been chipped and busted up and even moved from the impact. And it was so hard. And I'm not crying about it, but I'm using that to tell you the story of how I came back from that, and how in the midst of all that, I wouldn't quit. I just wouldn't give up. I was so determined. And thinking back on it, a lot of it has to do with the training that we all do: jiu-jitsu, running, lifting, shooting, all of that stuff. Everything we train that mindset in every day. Every rep is a mindset rep. Whether you're doing a burpee, you're going for a run, you're reading something that's difficult to comprehend or maybe challenges you, it's building mindset. It's building that never quit attitude. And I remember recently, after thinking a lot about it, where did I come up with, you start when you decide to start and you quit when you decide to quit? And I realized it was my physical therapist. My physical therapist would say this often during physical therapy sessions. She would turn, after a time, if you've ever been through physical therapy, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But for those that don't know, when you first get there, there's a lot of hands-on work. And depending on your injuries and all that, I had a lot of hands-on work. I had a busted wrist. My wrist was fractured in multiple places. My jaw, my shoulder was busted up pretty bad because I had fallen multiple times trying to walk into the hospital. That's a story for another day. But so there was a lot of hands-on stuff in the beginning, and then it becomes a matter of you show up, you get the hands-on therapy that they have to do, whether it's the machines, whatever they're going to do, and then they turn you loose with your assignment. usually a sheet of paper or something, and you go do your exercises. And fortunately, because I came in such good condition physically, I was able to progress rapidly to a point where they turned me loose pretty quickly to just go do your thing. And by that, I mean I had to practice walking up and down stairs. Man, there's a lot of stuff I had to practice that I just take for granted now even. But I had to relearn and figure out how to do safely, and I was considered a fall hazard. And so I would hear this physical therapist say, you decide when you're going to start, you decide when you're going to quit. But understand that if you quit now, you are determining the course of the rest of your life. You quit now without being fully rehabilitated. You quit now without getting everything you could get out of these exercises. And you are determining the quality of the rest of your life. And that stuck with me. And I thought, and I finally figured it out. I finally was like, oh man, that's where that came from. I knew I had heard it somewhere. I knew I didn't come up with it. I knew I heard it somewhere. But that was such an important lesson. It was so important. I can't tell you how important those words were sometimes. Because I would watch other guys quit on themselves. I would watch other guys in physical therapy decide, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it today. I can't do it. Whether it's getting up out of the chair or walking or pulling themselves up, learning to pull themselves up because they've lost the use of their legs. Whatever it was, the moment that they quit, the moment that they made that decision to quit, and then, just as importantly, they made the decision to not start again. That's when everything changed for them. And they went to a dark place, man. They went to a place mentally and physically and spiritually that I wouldn't want anybody to go to. It was a lesson to me. I would watch this happen and think, man, okay, all right. Like I had a moment where I wanted to quit. I had a moment where I thought this is too hard. I had a moment where I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take disability. I'm just going to pension out. I'm going to take my disability and just go sit in a chair and watch TV or whatever you do when you can't really do anything. But then I would rally, I would make that decision. I'm going to quit. But then I would also make that decision, nope. I'm going to start again. I'm getting back in it. And I learned, as the physical therapist said, you can start and quit at any time. And sometimes you start and quit multiple times in a day. But the key is that you never fully quit. You never fully stop. And man, I can't emphasize that enough. If you guys are struggling with something, if you guys are trying to overcome something, if you are just day-to-day life battling, please get up every day and start again. When you get knocked down during the day, don't quit. Start again. You might have a moment where you think, I'm quitting. That's okay. Quit for a moment, but then start again. Take that moment, take that knee if you have to, but then start again. Because the second that you stay down, it gets worse. You think it's going to get better. And I watched it, man, and I experienced it myself, where I thought, my pension right now with disability would be 50% of my pay. I can live on that. And it would relieve me of this frustration, this pain, because then I could just get back on the opiates. I could take the dope, numb myself physically and mentally, and just get through what's left of my life. But then I would snap out of it, and I would get back in it, and I'm like, okay, enough of that. Let's go, man. Get back to work. And I watched enough people where they made that decision. They hit that wall and they decided to quit, and they never decided to start again. And I watched him just fall off. And I thought, man, the pain that you're in now as a result of quitting is so much greater than the pain you were in or the discomfort you were in just struggling, just due to the struggle. You were just struggling. You were just uncomfortable. You weren't in pain. It wasn't debilitating. You weren't broken. You were rebuilding, but you quit. And who knows if that next step you take, that next move you make, that next thing that you do might not be the thing that pushes you over, that tips you over that wall that you're struggling to climb, that thing you're struggling to get past. Who's to say this next thing you do might not be the thing, man, that gets you through that? And that is what I kept in my head in the darkest moments, was, what if this is it? I actually had a picture, and maybe you've seen it. And it's a picture of a guy, two guys with pickaxes, so miners, right? And they're mining through the earth. And one guy decides to stop, and he's this far from the mother lode. But the other guy, he stops and then turns back and goes again and makes his fortune. And I had that picture, and I had it on my bathroom mirror, and I made copies of it. I put it everywhere as a constant reminder that maybe, man, like, I don't know, but maybe I'm this close. Maybe. And the thought of maybe I'm this close and I quit drove me to not quit. It drove me to keep pushing. And eventually I was able to return to full duty. I was able to return to full capacity. I got my black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a couple months later. I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do. But none of those things would have been possible if I would have chosen to quit and stay quit. So it's up to you, man. You start when you want to start. You quit when you want to quit. Both have consequences. Only you can decide. All right, man, that's all I got. I hope you guys have an amazing day.